What is up, everybody? Welcome into episode 47 of the Mark Brown Show. I'm your host, Jacob at Wisdom13. On the Twitter, joined as always by my wonderful co-host, Mr. At Carnsees817 on Twitter. Nick, how are we doing tonight?
Hi, and I just want to say welcome back, Jacob. Right, here you are again. We got the full, not just in time, basically. We've got the full squad back. And wow, has it been a day?
It is. That is a way to put it.
I am exhausted. I don't know. And you know what? I've spent like 2 straight days on Twitter. Like literally, that's just what
I'm on vacation from my regular job, and that is literally what I've done for 2 days.
I mean, I like vaguely am aware that I'm going to work and like doing that, but really, my whole life at this point is just staying up and refreshing Twitter. So here we are. You know what though? There's obviously a lot of heavy stuff going on. There obviously is, but we also have some good stuff going on.
Yep.
For instance, the Browns traded for Amari Cooper.
We're going to get into that here in a minute.
Yeah. I'm just trying to say there's good things that we're going to get into tonight.
Yeah, man. We will eventually get to the quarterback talk. We will get to the Deshaun Watson stuff. We will get to all of that on the back half of the show. So if that's all you came to listen to, guys, wait about a half hour and come back, and we'll deal with that. We realize that there could be some breaking news at any point. If that is so, Ed is on the Twitterverse, hard at work. We're going to talk about Amari trade, the Mac Wilson trade, the signing that the Browns have made, the 2 cuts of veterans have happened. We're going to get into all of that and we're just going to put our little spin on it and whatnot. So we're going to bring on producer Ed real quick, and he's going to give us a little bit more about what's going on tonight.
What's up, guys? I hear it is March Madness. Today's March 15th, the Ides of March. And if you're into Shakespeare, that's the day that Julius Caesar took one from et tu, Brute. So I don't know what's going down in Houston, but beware the Ides of March, and hopefully the Cleveland Browns will recognize that as well as they go through with their pursuit of, it looks like, a new quarterback. Maybe not. We'll see. We'll see. Everything is, liquid and fluid, as they say in the game. But we're going to have a fun-packed show today, because that's what we do. And the Cleveland Browns, we all love them. And what we're going to do is present a aspect of the Cleveland Browns in a way that's factual, that provides a little bit of opinion. But you know what we love about our guests and the people that are listeners, our loyal listeners, what we love about them? We feel that they're intelligent people. Definitely are, because you're watching us. I mean, that's the right choice right there. So you can't go wrong that way. So I will be monitoring the Twitterverse. Jacobs and Nick will be doing their thing. But I want to give a shout out to Ashley in the Fort, who was a guest on the show. And she says she hasn't spent more time on Twitter than she has in the last couple of days. So she's been like Nick. She's been on Twitter like the rest of us. I got to say, people talk about March Madness and productivity going down, filling out brackets and stuff. But gentlemen, honest answer. I know you're off, Jacob. So, but between Nick and I, it's not the brackets and filling out, who wins the NCAA tournament. We're all glued into Browns Twitter and seeing the moves that they're making. And then, you know what? I'd have it no other way. I love the Cleveland Browns, and hopefully they'll do right by us. But let's have a fun show. Let's kick it off, and I'll be monitoring the comments. So send them my way, guys.
Thanks. All right, Ed. Thank you, buddy. We'll talk to you soon. It's funny because most of the time nothing's even going on. Like, that's the best part, is that we're like hopelessly glued into like nothing happening, and yet we're just like oh, it is what it is. So Nick, I'll let you be the connoisseur of where we start. Do we want to start with the cuts, the 2 veteran cuts that I was pretty vocal that I thought were going to happen? Do we want to talk about the cuts? Do we want to talk about one of the trades, or do we want to talk about Taven Bryan? Where do we want to start tonight?
You know what? The cuts are significant. So, I feel like out of respect to them, obviously JC Treader and Jarvis Landry have been released, and I saw that JC Treader did not miss a game in the last 5 years. Is that real?
He had the one COVID game he missed this year.
Yeah. Oh, so none injury.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And how
snaps, I think, as far as that goes. Yeah. I don't even think he missed a snap. See, that was the thing about Treader that was just so amazing. It was either his first or second year in Cleveland. He actually had a high ankle sprain.
I remember.
Which is nasty. Those things are nasty. And he didn't miss a snap. So like he is the consummate. He is like the true pros pro Iron Man. Like I really hats off to J.C. Treader in the 5 years he gave Cleveland.
I just remember it always be like, oh yeah, J.C. Treader, held out of practice with a knee or whatever, but
It was
he's
mostly
likely
his
to
knee.
play. Yeah, he'll play.
He hasn't practiced in 2 years. I don't think.
I'm sad because, like I said in the tweet today, he was a part of that, like that offensive line that went from abysmal to like the top end of the league. Like the top whatever one.
He was here for it was him and Joel.
Yeah.
And a bunch of dudes, and then they got Zeitler. Well, him and Zeitler came together, so they had really good guards.
Yeah.
He was part of a group where the interior was really good, that had turnstiles at tackle. Mm-hmm. And then he was the part of the number one offensive line not this past season, but the year before the injuries and whatnot plagued him this year.
It was just cool. It was cool to have the player president on our team. I don't know what that really. I just it's nice. Like you never really mentioned J.C. Treader, right? And that's probably a good thing when it comes to offensive linemen. So
I mean, it is a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm definitely gonna miss him. But like they drafted Nick Harris. I remember you were really excited about Nick Harris and all of that. At some point,
Nick Harris.
You gotta at some point you gotta take advantage of these players that you draft being cheap, right? Mm-hmm. And that's just part of it.
Because at some point you're looking at Nick Harris, if he is what you think he is, you're looking at hitting a J.C. Treader deal, right? Yeah. So let's do Treader a little bit, and I'm going to caveat that into what I think about Nick Harris, and then we'll move on to Jarvis Landry, and we'll work our way through what has happened the last week or so. I know I was on assignment last week. Not really anything happened before then that I want to touch on. So my thing with Treader, I kind of said it, man. He was a pro's pro. I mean, he didn't miss snaps. He didn't miss games. He just did the damn thing, right? He didn't practice. He Joe Thomas'd it, which is fine because he would just go out there every single game and he would just play and he would just perform. And it's like, I thought that it made sense because of the money that's coming with extensions like that of Denzel Ward being the biggest one looming there, that it made sense to move on. He saved like $8.3 million on the cap to move on from him. He's north of 30. I think he's 31, but he's north of 30. He hasn't practiced in 2 years. He's got lingering knee issues. I don't know how long that's sustainable. However, if you had brought him back this year, like if you had genuinely brought him back, I would have been totally fine with it. I totally would have thought that he would have done his job like he has done for so many years. But it just made a lot of sense. And Nick Harris is part of why it makes a lot of sense, right? So you got to think that they have a better idea of Nick Harris than we do. So J.C. Treader hasn't practiced in 2 years. That means that Nick Harris has been the starting center in practice for the better part of 2 years. Now, I understand that is not necessarily a good indication directly correlated to him being the starter over a full season. I understand that. But the Browns have a pretty good idea of who he is. We might not, but they do. And Bill Callahan, I'm sure, signed off on this. So you think, okay, that makes sense. I want to talk about what he did do at center this year. So you're looking at 68 snaps were played by Nick Harris. I want to say they were all in that. I feel like he played maybe a couple snaps at the end because I'm not sure if they had 68 offensives against the Green Bay, which is the game he started. I'm not 100%. He went up against Kenny Clark, right? One of the best D tackles in football. He allowed 0 pressures, no sacks, no pressures. His overall grade in that game, this season, was a 70 with a 75 in pass blocking and a 6.7 in run. That's pretty good. No, that's not J.C. Treader, but that's not bad. You're looking at a guy whose one game was against one of the best D tackles. What's he going to do against average D tackles? That's kind of where I am. I get it. One game is just not enough. But you got to remember, it's that one game and 2 years of practice, all the preseason, all of training camp. They have a good idea of who Nick Harris is. He is not a guard. He has got to be a center because those 2 games he was at rookie as a guard, it was not good. I think that Nick Harris, yeah, he's a step down from JC Treader. I'm not going to try to bullshit you and say he's not, but I think Nick Harris is fine. And now you have over 8 million extra in cap. They're almost at like 20 million in cap right now. And they still have some other cuts they could make, right? I think that because of Nick Harris and because of the money, this move made a lot of sense, but that doesn't change my feeling of saying thank you to JC Treader for the last 5 years.
I agree. I definitely, it was fat. I don't know where the time went. Honestly, like I have no idea. But
when they said 5, I was like 5.
Yeah, but I
mean,
mean,
that makes sense, I guess.
I just, you know what, when they did the cap space after JC was released, you know, I didn't even realize that. I mean, I guess 20 million is like okay, but it's by no means, you know, like Jaguars money or whatever, even though they spent it all.
Wow, have they given out some money to some good players, but I wouldn't call many of them great.
Yeah, which I mean, God, when you're giving Christian Kirk $18 million a year, little segue. Jarvis Landry at his 15. I mean, doesn't even look like. I mean, yeah, it's still 15 million, but I mean, Lord,
it didn't look as bad. If you'd hung on to him after what Kirk got, I would have been like, well, I guess I'm not as mad as I would be if I was a Jacksonville Jaguars fan right now.
I'm so mad. I know this is off topic, but I'm so mad the Browns missed out on DJ Chark. I would have loved DJ Chark. He signed in Detroit, and so, you know, then I'm not really sure, because most of the, like, I saw Russell Gage, one of your favorites, signed with, who did he sign with? I can't remember who he signed with, but I know it wasn't
Russell Gage.
Yeah,
I forget. I thought he went Tampa Bay. Yeah. He got 30 mil.
Yeah. So I mean, then it really makes you wonder what the Browns will like. They've been linked to Allen Robinson, but I don't really know a whole lot of the other free agent wide receivers I haven't checked lately. So that's an interesting spot too, which actually makes me even happier that they traded for Amari Cooper, because if the plan was to release Jarvis Landry all along, like, you need somebody, and the free agent class right there, at least to me, doesn't look particularly good. So I'm really glad that Andrew Berry made that trade.
Yeah. So we did the Nick Harris thing. Let's transition a little bit. I'm trying to follow some things. It looks like all the teams have offers into Deshaun Watson for him, because they would not. The first step for the Saints, Panthers, and Browns in arranging a meeting with Deshaun Watson was presenting a trade package to the Texans. Once Houston approved, then they were allowed to meet. So that tells you that there is probably that is from Diana Rossini. Ooh, wow, from ESPN. I don't know why I stumbled over her name. I know who she is, but that is from her. So apparently there's been a trade offer made. That's so we know that. We don't know what it is, but that's just.
Yeah. Which, I mean,
so let's go to Jarvis.
Yeah.
You want to go to Amari Cooper? I guess we started with Amari Cooper. We can go to Amari Cooper.
Yeah, that's cool. Let's do some.
Let's talk about Amari Cooper, because that segued the release of Jarvis Landry. And I wrote an art. And for those that are curious, want a little bit more about my thoughts on Jarvis Landry, I did write an article for Dog Pound Daily on Jarvis Landry, and it is in the it is pinned to my profile on Twitter if you guys want to read that. Okay, so let's talk about Amari Cooper real quick. Listen, you essentially got a number 1 wide receiver for a 5th-round pick. You swapped 6s. That is what it is. But you got Amari Cooper for a 5th-round pick. That he is a bona fide number 1 receiver. Kelly asks, how fast is Amari Cooper? He has 4.4 speed. So he's 4.41. He's very similar. That's his 40 time. That's very similar. I don't know. Ed can look it up real quick, but I believe that's right where OBJ ran his 40. And if you could look up what OBJ's 40 time was, just so I can give you guys like a rough comparison, but I'm pretty sure, I know Amari's is a 4.41, and I think OBJ's was a 4.43. Just for if you want to try to envision that or whatever. I believe that is where that was, just for that. So he can stretch the field. He can get vertical. Oh, OBJ ran a 4.31. Okay, I thought it was a 4. Wow. Okay, so he's not OBJ fast, but he's a 4.4. If that tells you anything, Jarvis's was in like the 4.6s or 4.7s. If that tells you roughly, Go ahead.
I'm sorry. That's a significant difference for
Yes.
those like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So he can stretch the field. I would equate the way he plays speed-wise to be a little bit faster, but very similar to Donovan Peoples-Jones. I don't know where they comparatively in the actual testing numbers, but when you watch him play, like in terms of play speed, it does seem similar to Donovan Peoples-Jones, which, as we've seen in a couple of his touchdowns, he has had a couple of really deep shot touchdowns, including the one 4.43. Is that for OBJ? Okay, so OBJ 4.43 official. So there you go.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's what I thought I read. Okay, thanks, Ed. Appreciate it. But so that's what you're looking at. So he's got the ability to stretch the field. But listen, you did that for a 5th round pick, and I know there's some questions. I keep getting this right. You don't want Amari Cooper. He's a drop player. Okay. So this year he had 99 targets, 3 drops. Okay. Last year, Amari Cooper had 128 targets. You guessed it, 3 drops. So you're looking at over 230 targets in the last 2 years and 6 drops. Austin Hooper dropped that many passes this year.
Yeah.
So we're being clear. On a lot less targets. Let me even bring this up just for numbers' sake, because just kind of for comparison. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to just say my favorite number that I looked up when the Browns did a trade for Amari Cooper is that he had more receiving touchdowns than the entire Browns receiving room combined. And that's every wide receiver, like whether they were sitting the bench and just played a couple games or whatever, more touchdowns than all of them, which I understand speaks to Baker and all of that. But the point is that this guy is a significant upgrade over what the Browns currently have. And it's important because some people are like, oh my God, $20 million for Amari Cooper. Like Dallas was going to cut him. Why did the Browns trade for him? It's like
so that they didn't lose him.
Yeah, but ESPN put out that like trolley post today, and it's like, because if Amari Cooper hits free agency, he's not coming to Cleveland, right?
And probably not for $20 million.
Yeah.
Not after what I just saw Christian Kirk get.
Yeah. Oh, if Amari was sitting there as a free agent and saw Christian Kirk get that money, I mean, there's not a chance that he signs for $20 million.
Christian Kirk has 0,000-yard seasons. Amari has 4.
Yeah, so I mean that's just it's
7 years.
And Andrew Berry looks really smart because now all of a sudden the receiver market has completely dried up in terms of hot name, and there's still some like Allen Robinson's still there, a couple guys, but Andrew Berry struck first and now looks really smart for doing so. I would say.
I think that's actually part of what I wanted to get to is that Amari's. I'm so sorry. So I was trying to look at these numbers real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sorry. Amari has 5,000-yard seasons in 8 years.
5. Wow. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to get to your question, Dan. Ed just put it up in here. It actually kind of segued into something that I saw. So I went through and watched a whole ton. I'll give you the numbers real quick on the last 2 seasons for Amari. So in 2020, for comparison's sake, by the way, you talk about Amari having drops. He's had 6 in the past 2 years. In 2020, when Jarvis had a pretty good year, he dropped 5 passes, just for comparison.
Wow.
So in 2020, 128 targets, 92 catches, 1,114 yards, 5 touchdowns, 12.1 yards per carry, a 75 overall grade from PFF. We look at 2021, a 72 overall grade for him, 99 targets, 68 catches, 865, 8 touchdowns, 12.7 yards per carry. So you're looking at a guy that pretty consistently over his career is catching for 12, 13, 14 yards. Amari Cooper is one of the best route runners I've ever watched on film. And that is saying something to me because I've watched that. To me, the technician, what did we talk about? Rather it was right or wrong with OBJ. Oh, he ran the wrong routes, or he did this, or he improvises, he does all this other stuff. Amari Cooper is very fundamentally sound. He's going to run the right route, and he's going to run it correctly. Dude, he is such. I said this on the Space on Sunday. He is such a smooth route runner. Like he's not herky jerky, but he's got this little subtle, like I'm going to tell you, just go to YouTube, type in like Amari Cooper route running, and just watch some of the nasty, like, some of those clips that we've seen of Garrett Wilson do some nasty routes to DBs. Amari Cooper does that even more regularly. Like, he's not going to blow you away as a burner. He's not Anthony Schwartz. He's not Tyreek Hill. He's not that guy, but he is going to separation. He will have a lot of it. Go ahead.
You desperately needed it.
Yes, it's exactly what you need. Listen, Kevin Stefanski schemed open some of the worst wide receiver rooms I've ever seen. He schemed these guys open. Yeah. Could you imagine what he can do with a guy that just gets himself open always? Amari Cooper, I think, perfect. Let's say I got a custom-made glove, and that's what Amari Cooper is to Kevin Stefanski's offense. I think he is the perfect wide receiver, and I think it's a home run trade.
And like, from a personality perspective, I saw somebody called Amari the Nick Chubb of wide receivers. I love that. I love it so much.
Andy Lytle jumped into our space on Sundays, and if people are looking for fun Brown spaces to be a part of, the Warden and Brownsbot and I will run a Brown space at 9 p.m. on Sundays. Everybody's welcome to join and talk. Andy Lytle jumped in the other day, and he said, "Hey guys, you know what my favorite part about Amari Cooper is?" And I said, "What?" And he goes, "He hasn't posted on social media since 2016.
I saw that. Awesome.
And he made like a big tweet about it and everything, and everybody thought it was funny. But like Amari Cooper, that's what I've heard, man. There's also a rumor that he potentially called Dak.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. We're not getting into that because I don't want to spread that around if that's fake. So Dan asks why ESPN gave Dallas an A- and a C and Cleveland a C on the Cooper trade. I think Dallas probably does deserve an A- because they got a trade for somebody they were going to cut. So, that's good for Dallas. They were able to get an asset for somebody they had to move on from. I don't understand the C for Cooper. I just don't. Yeah. You traded a fifth. I'm going to tell you right now, Amari Cooper, at least this year in 2022, will be a better player than anybody they could have drafted in the 5th round, in my opinion.
And we would agree, I think, that Amari Cooper is an upgrade from Jarvis Landry.
They're not on the same planet.
So I think on that alone, you're winning. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like you desperately needed a guy to stretch your field and to do that for you. And Jarvis is great at a lot of things, but that is not what he's going to do.
Amari can do a little bit of it all.
Yeah. And I think that segues pretty well into Jarvis and his release because
hold on. Roger, I see your question about Amari. We'll get to that when we talk about quarterback stuff.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Jacob deserves his victory lap because if you talk to him, you will know that he was of the opinion that the Browns would part ways with Jarvis, and I think there was a lot of speculation about that, and just his salary and all of that. So
especially because there was the rumor that he wanted a restructure, and there was all that stuff. Yeah,
and it just things got kind of awkward in the locker room. You know what? More honestly, the more I've read and listened, I've been doing a lot of the spaces from a variety of groups, right? So I'm not sitting in an echo chamber. And the more I've listened, the more
That's what I've tried to do too.
Yeah. And Jacob runs a space, right? Which I wish I could join. My schedule just doesn't really. I popped in a couple times last time, but what I'm trying to say, oh my God, it just went out of my brain.
About Jarvis.
Yeah, it's about. Oh yeah. So the more I've listened and the more I've learned, especially this week because free agency is hot, is that there were issues in the locker room that at first I didn't really want to dive into, didn't want to look at, was just no, everything's fine, and now as I've learned, so maybe this is just where it is, right? And I know we're going to talk about quarterbacks later. Maybe they're just moving the big personalities out of the room. They're bringing new leadership, new air, maybe that's what they needed. I don't know. I don't know.
There was clearly an issue in the locker room. We'll get to that when we talk about the quarterback stuff here in the second half. And Jarvis it didn't make any sense anymore. He operates like a shiftier tight end. They have tight ends. They're going to pay tight ends.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense anymore. I'll say this. Thank you. Also, thank you to Jarvis Landry. I have a Bless Him t-shirt. I have a Jarvis Landry jersey. Yes. I'm wearing my Jarvis jersey in my profile picture on Twitter and for all of my articles on Dog Pound Daily. I wrote an article about it, originally titled it "Thank You, Jarvis Landry," but I ended up not putting that as the title there. But like, I'm thankful for everything Jarvis did, but this move made sense.
So
you want to get younger, you want to get cheaper, and you just want to get faster and more separation, and it just wasn't something that could give you anymore.
Could we agree as a show that Jarvis Landry's jerseys are one that you can wear well beyond his tenure in Cleveland?
Yeah, I think everybody would be fine with that. Yeah.
I think he's earned it. And that's like a level of respect. Like, I don't own a Jarvis Landry jersey, but I'm thinking I might buy one just for the posterity of it.
I did it. When I put out my article yesterday that I wrote up for Jarvis, I put a tweet in there that I actually added him, and I don't at players.
Oh, wow.
But I said, thanks, Jarvis. I did the at, and I will continue to wear my 80, and I will wish luck wherever you go in the future. And I genuinely mean that. Like, I just think that he was – I think that some people greatly over-exaggerate the culture change, the culture bros, if you will, but he had a part in it. And he was important for making it a better destination. He was involved in some drama, the come get me, stuff like that. I probably would have wanted out of Freddie's year too. I did actually want out of his year. I don't know about probably. I totally did. But, yeah, it's a business. This was a good business decision. We talked about it with Sheldon last year. We got used to good players and players we like walking.
Yeah.
This is the one that probably really just because of all the off the field stuff too.
Yeah. I just want to say about Jarvis that the one thing to me that I will always remember him for, and I know, you reference, right? I'm not going to dive too deep into the Jarvis culture stuff because it's hard to measure all of that. And I know, but the one positive effect I can personally speak on is the fact that the Browns were coming off 0-16 and they traded for Jarvis Landry. Nobody wanted to be associated with the Cleveland Browns, and Jarvis did. And that forever resonates with me. Like, he was so excited. It felt like it just changed the perception that Cleveland could be a place to come to and win.
Yeah. He was a professional. I think above all, he's a professional. Ross chimes in on YouTube, says that always gave 100% when he was on the field. I think he gave you 100% on and off the field. That's what I said in the article yesterday, and I think that's what I'll always remember Jarvis for, is that you just gave me everything you had. At the end of the day, especially on the field, at the end of the day, I knew that Jarvis Landry had given me everything Jarvis Landry could have gave me that day. I don't think I really ever questioned that. I mean, maybe there were some days, but honest to God, what he could physically give, I think I always thought that he gave it to us. Yeah. And so thanks, man. That's where I'm at. Genuinely, thank you. I'll root for you wherever you go, man.
Yeah.
So,
you know what, Jacob? I think we can take a second to appreciate the fact that we're kind of in a different stage of regime and franchise building than we've really ever been, because now you're starting to see the end cycle of the first wave of good players, needing to take a different direction.
Got too old, got too expensive, things like that. You're seeing a situation where the Browns need cap because they have players they want to keep. Who was it I heard talk? I'm trying to remember who it was that said, every offseason it was the Browns had too much cap.
Yeah.
And finally we're in a situation where it's actually, the basement of this roster isn't the basement of the league anymore. And you're starting to see that sort of stuff. So let's move on. Let's move on to the trade today. And then we'll talk about the one free agent signing that they've made. And then we'll make our transition to the quarterback talk and the Deshaun Watson talk and see what kind of time we have left for that. Ed will be on in just a second because he's going to kick off the quarterback talk when we get there because he's got some questions for us that we want to address. I think we want to start with the Deshaun Watson stuff, but we'll talk first about the trade today. So Mack Wilson is gone. I have never seen a more polarizing player who had such a little impact on the field in any organization as I did Mack Wilson. And that's not even necessarily a shot at him. It kind of is because I don't think he was ever what he thought he was. But I'm not trying to be an asshole about it. I'm just talking about a guy like he was really good this year in a very, very limited role. This is the best year of his career was this year. And he started playing special teams and he started contributing there. They found a niche for him. My understanding is he wanted to be a starter, which is great. So they traded, but he had such a little impact on the field. And it was just like people hated each other over this.
Yeah, they did.
Third string linebacker, second string line, the third, fourth linebacker on our team at all times. We hated each other over him.
And let's be honest, he was not making the roster if the Browns started with healthy linebackers entering last year.
I didn't think he was. No,
I didn't think so.
The Phillips and Fields, I thought it was pretty obvious that they had to keep him. I love this trade. So we went and they traded. Mack Wilson to New England. Chase Winovich. Chase Winovich is really interesting. He's labeled as an outside linebacker. He's really more of an edge guy. So it actually makes a ton of sense. They don't like the style of player that Winovich is in New England, but they do like Mack Wilson. So we don't need the style of weak side linebacker that Mack Wilson is because we have JOK, but we need some edge depth. Essentially, this is the way I want you guys to think about Chase Winovich. Takk McKinley. That is who he is. He is the 2022 Cleveland Browns version of Takk McKinley. So you're talking about a really quick and athletic defensive end that is a situational pass rusher. That's what Chase Winovich is, okay? So remember what part, Nick, what Takk McKinley, that part of what he was there was to chase down mobile quarterbacks?
Yeah.
Chase Winovich, okay? So Chase Winovich spent a lot of time injured this year. He only had like 3 tackles. So I don't want to go into that, but I would like to go into Chase Winovich's numbers. So last year in 2020, his pass rush grade was a 72. He finished with 47 total pressures, 6 sacks, 33 hurries, and 8 hits of the quarterback. For perspective, I believe Jadeveon Clowney had like 60 pressures, somewhere in the 60s, and you're looking at Winovich at 47, which is pretty good.
6 sacks, too.
6 sacks.
Fine.
In 2019, he had 23 pressures.
Okay.
So in 232 snaps. Actually, that's relevant. Let me go back to the 2022 data. So the 2022 data, he had 47 pressures and 348 pass rush snaps.
I saw.
And you go ahead and say something about him because I have a stat I need to look up.
Oh, okay. It's somebody. He finished top 10 in. I want to say
pass rush win weight.
Yes. In 2020, I saw that fun little stat about him. But I think it's an example of obviously the Browns have large questions at edge, right? And so you fall out of favor in New England, but you have been productive previously. I think that makes a lot of sense for the Browns because, as Jacob mentioned, they don't have a ton of cap space right now, and they can create more, but they don't have. So you got to find somebody that is going to be that cheap Takk McKinley role. And I think something that like Miles has missed a little bit of time, but overall has been very healthy since his rookie year when he had, I think, a sprained ankle.
High ankle sprain, actually.
Yeah. And so I just don't think you can forever rely on Miles to just play infinite snaps and be an Iron Man and all this stuff. So it's like, so I'm hoping that these additions, especially Winovich, who is he going to be on the final year of his deal?
I'm not sure. So look at it. So they were drafted in the same year. Mack Wilson in the 5th round, Winovich in the 3rd. So Winovich led the league in hurry in 2020. He was top 10 in pass rush and wait. Check in 2019, his pass rush win rate was 22%. In 2020, it was 18.
Okay.
Those are good numbers. Like, especially when talking about he's coming in to be edge 3 or 4.
Yeah.
You're looking at every bit of what Tack McKinley could give you. I think Winovich can give you. I think this was a really solid. You need a weak side linebacker that can play in coverage, which Mac Wilson can do. We need a situational outside pass rusher of some sort. In third year of a 4-year deal. Yeah.
Okay, so that's good. The potentially 2 cheap years of
if
Tack McKinley.
The Browns draft. Yes, if the Browns draft Garrett Wilson, who number 1 between Wilson and Cooper, it's still Cooper. Cooper's the number 1, unless another big guy comes in. That's how it's going to be. Ashley says she's getting a Landry jersey. I'm all on board with that.
Love it, Ashley.
But yeah, he's a cheap edge 3, and if he works out, which is what I think they wanted to do with Tack, was sign him long term before the Achilles. We're right back in where we were last year, and I thought we were in a pretty good spot. To me, it's not a blow you away trade, but it's a very convenient trade, and it gives the Browns something they need, which was edge depth.
At this point, do you have a favorite for edge 2?
Chandler Jones. If it was me, it would be Chandler Jones.
Today. Yeah.
I've heard Von Miller. Cleveland is on the final 3 for Von Miller, which, listen, if OBJ told him to stay away from Cleveland and he comes to Cleveland, there's some irony there that I would enjoy.
Some have speculated that maybe he knows something about the quarterback that some people don't.
So interestingly enough, I've been told that wherever Deshaun Watson goes, Will Fuller goes.
Oh, that's his boy. Oh man, Will Fuller.
Yeah. So Ed confirms Winovich will be in the final year rookie deal.
Oh, okay.
It hadn't been updated yet.
Understood.
Because the league year doesn't start till tomorrow.
They have chemistry though, Will Fuller and I mean I think they really put some good stats up together.
John Watson, yeah, like I think Watson also comes with Cooks, but that's another conversation, and I think we can have later. If that's potentially what goes. Yeah. So let's talk about Taven Bryan, and then we're going to bring Ed back on, and we're going to transition to the Deshaun Watson and the overall quarterback talk, and where we'll wrap the show up. It's been a very brisk 37 minutes. We said this a couple of weeks ago with Jeff Lloyd. We were at 40, and I hadn't asked like any of the questions I wanted to ask Jeff, and I was like, "Oh shit, man, we're at like 40 minutes, and I haven't done any of this. Like, this is terrible." So let's talk about Taven Bryan. There's not a lot about Taven Bryan. It's really funny that if you sign a player that I go, who that?
I knew, but you know why I knew.
I
figured I wasn't willing to divulge to other people.
Yeah, I won't tell people that. It's okay. You can make the decision you want. So Taven Bryan is, what I'll say is the grades aren't great. He only played about 300 snaps, but his pass rush grade was a 66.8. His overall was a 56. And the only thing I'll say about that is it was better than either of our starting D tackles. So I talked to my dad about this earlier, and some people came at me and told me it was a horrible signing. And I said, no, it's not, because this is not a starter. You're not saying, Taven Bryan, you're a starter. At least I don't think so. If that's the case, then yeah, it's probably a bad signing.
No, please.
Yeah,
no.
I don't see it. I don't see that. This is a case. Andrew Berry has done it. Carl Joseph, Kevin Johnson, Tack McKinley. AJ Stewart was a second-round pick. What is it?
It's a trend now.
It's a trend. You're looking at failed first-round picks coming off their rookie deal. He's got a decent athletic profile, and he had hype. He went 20. Was it 29th overall or 26?
I don't remember.
But he goes to Jacksonville in the first round. He plays his rookie contract. To me, the goal is to get better, and the basement of the D tackle room is better. I still don't think there's a starter in that room. There isn't, in my opinion. And Taven Bryan isn't that. But go ahead.
Taven Bryan's raw athletic score ranked 11 out of 1,096 defensive tackles ranked from 1987 to 2018.
Is it an 8.2?
9.91.
Good Lord, I thought it was an 8.2. See, there you go. So this is where we're talking. Is 29. Thank you, Ed. You're talking about a dude's athletic profile, like his testing. There's something there. Maybe Chris Kiffin can figure it out. Maybe playing next to Myles Garrett, it helps. But his pass rush grade was better than any of our pass rush grades at D tackle last year. So he'll at least give us more than we had. That's how a team gets better. It's not, listen, I'm not saying great sign. It's probably like a 7. I'm going to write a story for Dog Pound Daily tomorrow that's going to grade. I'm going to grade each of the acquisitions between Cooper and then today. So that'll be out tomorrow morning. And he'll probably get like a C because it's a good depth signing. Very similar to Winovich. I think Winovich will have a bigger impact, but it's a good depth signing that raised the basement of a room that was off in 2021.
And I'm not comparing him to Jadeveon Clowney in any way, but correct me if I'm wrong. When Jadeveon Clowney signs somewhere else, the Browns stand to gain a compensatory pick, correct?
It just depends on who all they sign, but as of like right now, since they haven't, yeah.
Okay. So these former first round picks that have like these great measurables, like you don't have to hit on all of them, but when you do, or when you hit on guys like that, you are going to get picks back when they inevitably leave you after they've given you their cheap service. So there's a lot of people were roasting me, man. There's upside here. I think there's upside.
Yeah, there's upside. That's what I tried to say. And some people were like, "This is a horrible pick," and I'm like, "No, it's a fine depth pick. That's it. That's all it is. Is a fine depth pick. That's it." There's no breaking news yet. I really thought we were going to break news.
I did too. I really did too.
All right, guys, those are the signings. We're going to bring Ed on here. He's going to hop on here with his gorgeous face, and we're going to go and play Ed's Go For It here. And I know it's going to be Deshaun Watson related, and this is what I want to say. Let me up here real quick. Let's go for it on screen. I want to let Ed ask his questions, which is going to segue us into the Deshaun Watson talk. Mm-hmm. Then I'm going to move on from Deshaun Watson, and I want to talk about Baker and the future of the quarterback room because I think that's important. So, Ed, take it away.
Okay, well, obviously, with the Deshaun Watson talk and everything that's going on, and maybe the departure of Baker Mayfield, who has been a fan favorite over the last, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, some fan base.
Well,
I know.
Even the ones that the haters per se, which I think that we all, when he came in that Jets game, we all loved him. Mm-hmm. We all loved him when he beat Pittsburgh, and I think that obviously there's some people on Twitter that love to hate him. If that's I think that's pretty accurate. But okay.
That's 100% accurate. So from that, yeah, you're right. You're right. Go ahead.
So here's what I'm going to say. Going for it, and this is more of an overall umbrella, and however you guys want to take that umbrella and go with it in the raindrops. How do Browns fans say they have an affinity for Baker Mayfield? Because there's a lot of Browns fans that just love the guy, just like Bernie back in the day. And when Bernie was cut, that hurt them. But they got over it, and then they embraced Vinny. How would you guys say that Browns fans, if they don't like this turmoil, maybe it's not Deshaun Watson, maybe they bring in somebody else, but just the whole fact that we're probably going to get a different field general. There's going to be even the Jarvis thing. There's been some fan favorites, like Nick said. The cycle of players and relating to, so maybe more of a general question. How do Browns fans who have such a love for this cast of characters and it's changing and going to the next ones, how do they go for it and still be a Browns fan and still love them? Because this is sometimes for the first time, this is the first time it's happened for you guys in my generation, because I'm pretty much an OG here and I've gone through it before and you learn to love it. But there are some new Browns fans that haven't gone through this. What is your advice for them to go for it and get through it?
You know what? I have something that when you talked about this, it immediately came to my mind. And like, I was talking to you guys pre-show about this, and I think I'm being a little more emotional about it because like Baker was the first quarterback that I really believed in, like legitimately thought, wow, like in my whole life, right? 31 years old. This was the first one. And so it means a lot to me personally. However, so, I had to answer this question myself already, which I'm really glad you asked it, Ed. But it's like, we have been through even now, like we've been through so many harder seasons previous to this. Like you made it through 0-16, you made it through going winless, you made it through 1-31, like you made it through like all these just clown show organizations that just had zero chance of success ever, right? And now I know there's caveats to a lot of what the Browns are doing right now, and a lot of people are upset in that, but I'm just saying we've gotten through some pretty rough stuff before in terms of being fans. And I think, like, although obviously no matter who, it's going to be a transition. I think at this point I've accepted it's going to be a transition, and that's still buzzing around Twitter as like the news, is coming now. But I think, we've gotten there before. We will get through it again. We've been through harder times than this. We walked around the damn stadium when it was 0-69. Well, I don't know. All I'm saying is that we can and will persevere.
Okay, so that would be my answer too. Is in a roundabout way is to think of it this way. God, it's just been worse, man. It's all right. Yeah. Like it's all right. Yeah. Like how many quarterbacks have we been through? It's okay if that's what happens. Yeah. It's okay. Like this is what I would say. Remember that to us, it's more than a game and a business, but to them, it's not. It's their job. And the front office, to everybody, it's their job and it's a business, and they're just trying to do what they think is best. They don't have the emotional connection because they want to keep their jobs. They want to win. At the end of the day, they go home and they don't worry about it the way we go home and we worry about it. Just remember, I've been attached to players irrationally before, and this time is the first time we're probably rationally attached. It's not easy, but just remember, they're still going to be there. They're still going to be doing their best. We believe in Andrew Berry and what he is doing, and we think that what he is doing is what is for the best of the organization, and I truly wholeheartedly still believe that, and we'll get into the moral part of that in a second. But my advice would just be this. Just remember, you got through all that. Yeah. Like Nick said, you got through all that. It was way worse than what this is. You know why this feels so bad? Because it's success for the first time. Yeah. And then adversity in the face of success. Yeah. We've never had that. But remember, we threw a parade for 0-16. We went 1-31. We'll be okay.
I want to say something, because me being a little bit older, and I hate when people say, players come and go, because there is an emotional attachment that we have with players. But I remember being a 15-year-old boy watching the Cleveland Browns play the Green Bay Packers in 1995. And this was a couple of weeks after Art Modell announced the move. And I was looking at the players and I was crying, and I was thinking to myself, I'm never going to see these colors again. I didn't say I'm never going to see Vinny Testaverde again. I'm never going to see, Ernest Biner run the football. I thought to myself, I'm never going to see these fans inside a Cleveland stadium watching a football game in the fall, cheering for my city of Cleveland, which I love. And I think that's the takeaway that I take from it is, yes, we do get an emotional attachment to these players, and rightfully so. My son has a Jarvis Landry jersey, and the memories that we will always have. I remember going to Dick's Sporting Goods, finding that sucker for Christmas. Kelly and I were so excited. It was on sale too.
Hell yeah.
We thought, bless them, God, yeah. And we were bless them, and that's something that will never. These memories that we had when Baker came in against the Jets and the fridges and everything like that.
I was there.
Those memories are never going away. When I was 15, thinking this team is going to Baltimore, I'm never going to see the Cleveland Browns again. That hurt my soul. Yes, it sucks that these players, they come and they go, and to your point, Jacob, it is a business. And we say trust in Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski. Well, there's going to be times where that trust is going to be tested. Just like in anything in life, there's going to be some times where, that faith that you have for whether it be a higher power or your parents or whoever the case may be, or your front office or your favorite sports team, as silly as that sounds. You're going to have those moments where you're questioning their moves and the faith isn't there. My thing is this. it's gonna get better. There's gonna be new players, and guess what? They still wear the orange and brown. They still represent the city that we love, Cleveland, Ohio. We're gonna win.
And we're still going to be there on Sundays.
You know what? If my life did not completely stop for the start of free agency, like if the NFL was just handing out all these contracts and it like I couldn't get into it, like I don't even know what I'd do. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how much this matters. It's not even football. I'm just sitting here waiting I'm excited. You know
what I want to carry off of that, Nick? Would you say
you filled out a bracket yet?
Oh, have you filled out your bracket, Nick?
No.
I haven't either.
It is
your
March
NCAA
Madness.
bracket.
It is March Madness.
Oh, wow.
I haven't done that either. Buddy, like I don't know why basketball COVID took away most of my love of other sports for some reason. Like when they went away for a while and stuff, like with the NBA and the bubble and things like that, and then the Major League Baseball's lockout really did it for me. I'm done. And then the Reds traded Jesse Winker and Eugenio Suarez, who's my favorite player, and I asked Suarez to wave at me one time. That was the day that Baker Mayfield was drafted, in case you were wondering about that, which I had just got back from Afghanistan when that happened. So anyway, I got hit in the head by a fly ball from Suarez. Yeah, it was like I was on the third base line, right? Yeah.
And you guys thought Afghanistan was dangerous. Just go to a Reds game.
I have some Reds trivia if you want it.
I probably don't know it, but go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
The 5th highest paid Cincinnati Red.
It's Ken Griffey Jr.
Is Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah.
And he has not played for the Reds since I don't know.
He's also only made like $3,500 or $3.5 million.
Yeah, Bobby Bonilla still gets paid on July 1st $1 million up until like 2035 because they deferred all that money as well. So I gotta give a shout out to Drew in the Brick City, by the way, because big fan. Ashley, got to give Brownstown, Browns Clock. Thanks for watching. You know, because we're all Browns fans and we love you guys and thanks for tuning in. So I got to give a shout out.
Thank you to everyone. I was talking to Jacob about this before. We are getting due on our Patreon shirt giveaway, so make sure you stay tuned for that because we will have a winner. And thank you all. Especially through like the last couple of months when like just the playoffs were going on and there really wasn't a whole lot of Brown stuff. I just really appreciate all of you still being here because it's kind of hard, to give it every day like that. So I appreciate it.
I would copy off of what you said, Nick, before I forget again.
Okay.
And that was, I was talking to my therapist months ago, and we had talked about my obsession with Twitter and the Browns and some things like that, and things that some issues that causes me in my life and my personal relationships. And what's the funniest part about it is the Browns made me disinterested right before the Pittsburgh loss, but especially after the Pittsburgh loss. Like as you guys would know, I just wasn't around. I wasn't around social media and stuff like that. Like it infuriated me. But I went to my therapist and I said, well, what am I supposed to do now? Like I'm not interested, but I don't know what's in my hands because I'm not interacting with people about football. And then it just slowly was like, it'll be better. And here we are. Like that's it. It's a part of who we are. We'll get past it. Pat says on Facebook, being a Browns fan has been rough from the beginning. Blake is and has always been average at best. We're going to get into that. Right now, after I read this little blurb from Josina Anderson 24 minutes ago. And that is so many good guys left out there, players-wise, which I agree. Akeem Hicks, Chandler Jones, come on down. Johnny Hecker, Greg the Leg.
The Leg.
This is interesting because I think we all kind of thought this. A few have told her they're low-key waiting on Deshaun Watson to make his decision.
Okay.
So Brad Stainbrook says that the meeting with Watson is over per Aaron Wilson. Plane not yet back on the way to Cleveland was scheduled to leave at the top of the hour, but it's still on the ground.
Interesting.
I just happened to see that, and I was going to move on to the quarterback, but as you know, that's big news. If you don't follow the OBR and stuff, you probably miss out on some great updates. There's one about Baker Mayfield that some people should go read. Okay, guys, I want to do this, and I want to keep in for this, and I want to talk about. I want to say the only thing that I want to say about Deshaun Watson, and you guys can say whatever you want, and I also have to pee after I say this, so I'll be right back. And then I want to move on. I want to have a very general conversation about the quarterback for about 10 minutes, call it a night, if that's good with everybody. Okay, so it has killed me. This Deshaun Watson thing is killing me. I'm going to take Ed's gopher off the screen because we're not doing that anymore. And
we went for it already.
We did go for it. Well, it's probably inappropriate for the conversation we're about to have. Like if it said that, you know what I mean, because of the allegations, right? Like we don't want that to be on there. Like that would be like, it would make us look really bad, and we would get a lot of hate, rightfully so, I think. So when I heard that the Browns were interested, so I want to start here with the fact that I told my wife earlier, I said, a year ago, I thought he would never play again. That's what's so weird about this whole thing. I thought he was going to prison. And even if he didn't go to prison, I did not think he'd ever play in the NFL again. So that's why when all of this stuff about teams courting him came out after they decided not to indict him on Friday, I just never saw any of this coming because, I just didn't think he would be in the league. So the Browns are interested. That's what we're hearing. Obviously, we know they are. They're in Houston today, potentially right now. So, to me, I have a hard time believing 20-some women are lying. And that's the only way I'd be okay with supporting Deshaun Watson is if he was 100% innocent. I myself personally cannot see a world in which that's the truth. Now, does that mean I think he is 100% guilty without me seeing evidence? Not necessarily. But the lack of being indicted on criminal charges does not mean you didn't do anything. So the people that are trying to tell you that because he wasn't indicted on criminal charges, he's innocent, that's just not factual. It just means that there's not enough evidence. And sexual assault cases are incredibly serious and incredibly difficult to prove. That is why so many victims do not come forward. There is no way in my mind that 20+ women are lying. Something happened. I don't know what it is. If it was me, I would not do the deal. I wouldn't do it. Do I get it? Do I get it? From a pure football standpoint, I get it. I can't get behind the other stuff. And I've been not voted on Twitter because, I think it's possible that we're going to have to deal with it. Because they don't care what we think. The NFL has proven that with domestic violence, with all of that stuff, and just a little, oh, it's okay, you can play now. That stuff. They've proven they don't care about anything but the wins. That's it. That's all they care about. They don't care about our opinions on that stuff. They just want the W's on the board. Well, I have held in because I'm thinking, man, I've got it. I've just got to rationalize it. I've got to find a way to be okay with it because I think it's reality. And I'm realizing as I'm talking to you guys, it's not okay. I don't care if it's reality. I cannot be this full go if he's the quarterback. I don't know that I could do the show every week if he's the quarterback. I don't want to talk about him and tweet about him I don't want to do it. And you can call me whatever, a white knight, whatever. Guess what? I don't give a fuck. I don't. And anybody who knows me knows I don't. The things that I have seen, I'm almost done, guys. I swear to God. The things that I've seen and the justification I've seen is disgusting. It is. Do I think it would be a home run football move? Sure. But guess what? You can't separate it. People tell me to separate it. And if you can do that, good for you. And your opinion of this situation is your right to have that opinion. But I'm also able to disagree with it. And that's the thing. It's like, I wish I could. There's some people out there that can truly separate it, just the football and the off the field. Because if it happens, I envy those guys. Ken Carman said it best, I think, on TV last night. He said, I don't have daughters, but I got sons that I'm trying to raise to not be pigs. You're going to do it. How are you going to do it without lying to yourself? And that's what I got. That's it.
And you know what? The fact that we are having this conversation right now, like if the Browns trade,
Setting.
if the Browns move that haul, any haul, for a guy, right? That guy should be unanimously able to be celebrated, in my opinion. You're
That's
literally
fine, yeah.
you are changing the face of your organization, and you stand there and you say we are going to bring in people that are smart, tough, accountable, and you stand by these words and you say we have standards here, we have rules that we abide by, and all this stuff that sounds really good and has made an impression on people. And now you're sitting in Houston, and that doesn't feel very smart, tough, or accountable to me. And anyone who knows me will not be surprised to know that I am a very emotional person. My takes come from emotion. It shapes it.
What?
Right?
Sorry,
You know,
I'm sorry.
that's it.
That was inappropriate.
And you might have seen a Baker Mayfield tweet once or twice. You get excited about your quarterback. And I'm thinking about this.
Once or
I'm like
twice.
envisioning it. Or maybe.
Buddy, I'm sorry. I'm being a dick. Go ahead.
No, it's fine, man. I don't care. Hey, here we are. I don't know. But I'm thinking, I'm like, how can I, in good conscience, like the ride with six, Baker Bro, whatever you want to call it, I don't care. That's how I would hope to feel about my quarterback, because I want him to be this elite, great franchise lead, everything we've always dreamed of. Well, I just don't think that I can feel that way about Deshaun Watson. And I know I'm taking it from a very personal perspective, but it's just grimy. It's sticky. It's you know what? And I've always stayed away from calling Big Ben like Ben,
Rapist burger.
Rapist burger. I don't even like saying that word.
I don't. I've never liked that. No.
Like, I've always knocked Ben's play or talked trash on the Steelers, whatever. I'm not going to dive into that. I see what Steelers fans go through and the hoops they jump through with that. I don't want any part of it. I don't want any part of it. I don't want to have to sit there and I just want to tweet about my quarterback and say, look at this great thing that my quarterback's doing, and not have people say sexual predator. And like, I don't want. That's not the guy. That's not him. No.
You know what's funny? I've kind of thought about that, but not to the level that you're describing right now. And I'm thinking about it. Yeah, fuck no. No. I don't want that.
How you go look, just search Ben Roethlisberger and go in the comments of any big tweet about him, and you'll see some segment of people say that about it. I don't want it. I don't. That's not the guy I want to put that type. The level that I've put into Baker Mayfield and supporting him. I can't put that. That's not. It's just I don't feel good about it. I don't feel good about it. There are a lot of women in my life that are really important to me, and I don't feel good about it. I just can't, and I don't care. I don't care. So rip me to shreds. Then there's this segment of Brown's Twitter that is just like Watson, and I tried to listen to their space today. I can't. I can't. I don't know. That's where I'm at. I don't know what I'll do. I'm not going to stop being. I'm a Browns fan. I've always been a Browns fan. It's like the reason that I put so much time. I don't even know. I put an inordinate amount of time into this, and we all do. I'm worked up. I'm sorry. I don't know.
You're not as worked up as Ben Albright right now. He just deleted a tweet.
Oh no.
He said that it's still a long shot, but he thinks Baker's gone. And then somebody says, "You know as much as I do about this," which is nothing, to which Ben Albright tweeted, "Jesus fucking Christ, they're not getting Watson," and then deleted the tweet. So, like, all I know about that is I don't think they're getting Watson, and I'm very happy about it.
Guys, I want to hit you with this perspective. Now, I do have a teenage daughter, but I don't even want to go into that because I think you guys hit on that. What I want to go into is this, okay? The polarization of our next quarterback. If it's not Baker Mayfield, and the reason why I don't want Deshaun Watson, forget about all the 22 women and all that. Forget about that, okay? Just forget about that. I want the next quarterback to be what Nick said. I want there to be like the Bernie Kosar. I want the guy to be a franchise quarterback, but unites the city. You know, the one thing, just
Yes.
like when you have a president or something that's polarizing, you want the next president to come in, and if nothing else, you want them to unite the country. You know, and then I think that Browns, we've gone through this with Baker Mayfield for too long, and I think that whoever the next quarterback is, I want them to have a fresh start where everybody can get on board and we can all just go back to being somewhat normal Browns fans and root for the guy behind center. He's our field general, and just have that unity instead of always getting on Twitter or even, you know, or you're talking or discussing it with other Browns fans. And it always turns into like a water cooler fight where you have to dig in, pick a side, go to trench warfare. And I'm just kind of sick of it. When, like, you know, in Pittsburgh, one thing about it is they all, you know, have to defend their, you know, quarterback, or they've had to the last 20 some years, but they did it as a united front against other fan bases. Okay. I want to have a quarterback where you're defending his play on the field and we can go back to the old days. Well, we're going after Bengals, Ravens, and Steelers, and we're not going after. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm sick of the Civil War. Can we stop the civil wars and go after other fan bases? And that's what I kind of want to bring this. And that's why I don't want Deshaun Watson, because I feel like he will always be a polarizing figure. We're coming off a quarterback, right or wrong, his fault or not his fault. I don't even want to get into the reasons why, but Baker Mayfield has been a polarizing quarterback. And I'm, like I said, it's no blame either way, but I want a fresh start with somebody that can unite the city of Cleveland, my beloved Cleveland Browns. That's all I want.
I like it.
Yeah, great
So,
takes from everybody.
I love it. That was great. Very productive, even better than I thought it was going to be. Let's talk about the quarterback situation in general, right? Let's wrap this thing up, put a bow on this thing. Cancel anime, I think his point here, I'll put it on the screen here. Even if we don't get Watson, repairing the relationship is a completely different conversation. I'll ask him this, and I know he'll respond. Do you mean repairing the relationship with Baker, or are you talking about like fans' relationship? I'm going to assume you're talking about with Baker, and I'm going to run with it. If you're not, let me know, and I'll. I said this morning. I said this last night. I've actually kind of been saying this, and Nick and Ed can. I've not said it publicly, but for over a month and a half, I've said I thought Baker was gone.
Yeah.
He says with Baker. Okay. So I have. You can ask these guys. I've said it for a month and a half in the group chats. I didn't say it publicly because I knew I'd get crushed. I don't see a scenario. I've said it twice today. I do not, and now what I'm seeing from insiders and from national people, they're echoing my sentiments. I can't find a scenario where Baker's back in Cleveland. And I'm not even saying I necessarily blame him. It's very public that they're out talking to your replacement.
Yeah.
I wouldn't come back either. So I get that aspect of it. I get that. I am of the belief that there is a lot of data that suggests they should move on from Baker. His fourth quarter numbers, you talk about last year, we talk about how good he was. In the fourth quarter last year, he only completed like 56% of his passes. So even when he's at his best, his fourth quarter numbers have always been bad. He has 7 career comebacks. 4 of them were his rookie year. And you also talk about, like, if you look at the data, Jake Burns has written this and podcasted about it. When Baker comes off his first read in his entire career, he's bad. Okay? That being said, you take all of the data about his play. You take the comments he made about Kevin Stefanski. Ben Albright saying a couple of days ago that the rift between Kevin Stefanski and Baker Mayfield is the worst kept secret in the NFL. That lines up with the things that Baker said during the year about coaching and about players. There was a rift caused by OBJ leaving. There were sides taken. I don't think the majority of Cleveland Browns players are on Baker's side. See? Okay. I do not see a scenario where it makes sense for either side, Baker or the Browns, to have Baker the quarterback in 2022. For a long time, I thought it was the move that made the most sense. But just the more stuff I heard behind the scenes and the things, and now that stuff's starting to become public, it does not make sense to me. What is best for the career of Baker Mayfield and for the front office and the organization of the Cleveland Browns, I think, is a divorce. I think that's where I am of the opinion that I'm okay with Baker coming back, but I prefer to look at an upgrade first. That being said, because they are publicly looking at an upgrade, from what I have heard, Baker is very likely, if not already, having asked to be moved. I think he has value. I think you can get 2 second-round picks. I mean, look what the fuck Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
And at least on Baker's thing, if a team calls Baker and they're like, "Why'd you struggle this year?" He's got the injury to fall back on. Rather,
Which
I
one?
think it's
Which injury?
right, and I think it's
You
deeper
know, I
than
mean-
the injury. I think it's deeper than the injury. That's why I would move on. But he's got that ability when it comes to negotiating going to a new team, right? I've said this for like 6 or 7 weeks. I've said this since about the Pittsburgh loss that I thought he was gone. I think he's gone. I think there are several options out there. I'll let everybody else speak on this sort of topic, and I'll talk about the options that I would like to do. But if we move on, but I don't see a scenario where he's back.
Whatever you think, Ed. It's all you, my friend.
You know what? I just want to say this.
I'll be right back, guys.
The only thing I'm going to say, honestly, is thank you, Baker Mayfield. You know, this is the end, and you've played your final snap as a Cleveland Browns quarterback. I just want to say thank you. I mean, I've been accused of being a Baker hater. I've been a Baker bro. Look, when I say I have 12 personalities, I'm just like a regular fanatic. I love the Cleveland Browns. I'm a Browns bro.
Yeah.
I'm a Browns bro. And whatever makes the Cleveland Browns better, besides Deshaun Watson, I'm all for. I'm all for. And Baker, he had his ups and downs, but, you know, he got us to the promised land of becoming a legitimate contender. And I still think, Nick, and I think you would agree, the Cleveland Browns, with a few tinkers, are still a legitimate contender. I'm not going to say Super Bowl, but win the division, make the playoffs. Yeah. And then when you make the playoffs, you never know what could happen. I think when people say, oh, they're not a Super Bowl contender, they're not this, they're not that, just get me to the dance, get me in the playoffs. And I like the defense. And I love the defense. And I just think with like we talked about average quarterback play, and Baker is above average quarterback, and I got nothing but mad love for Baker Mayfield. I wish it would have worked out. And when people say, well, no, nothing ever works out in Cleveland or quarterback, what I don't want to hear that. I think that if Baker didn't get hurt, I think it might have been a different ball game. I think
you know what's the craziest part about it is if he had just shut it down.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be having this conversation, which is wild. And I'm not even saying that would have been right, but I think that's what it would have been.
That's kind of what my take is rooted in. And I think the moment it hit me was during the Lions game when Baker was like walking back to the huddle, and he looks like he can't even walk. He's gimping. And I was thinking about this, you know, as I was planning what to say about Baker. And I can't think of anyone I saw across the entire rest of the NFL. And I'm a fantasy addict, fanatic, whatever. I watch a lot of NFL is what I'm trying to say. And I've never seen a guy that can barely walk, like just keep playing. It just doesn't happen. They take you out. Right. And it's like week. And this isn't just a game. It's like week in and week out. Then he's got a heel injury. Now he's got a knee injury. Now he's got this injury. And I'm just like, and they just every week they just go and they'd say, oh, he's fine. I'm fine to perform. Baker gives us the best chance to win. It's just bizarre. I've never seen anything like it. Honestly, I've never seen anything like it. And then Baker's like, oh, I make the decision if I play. And then at the end of the year, he's like, me and my family talked and we think it's best that I don't play. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, what happened?
God, that was weird.
What happened? It's like a year ago, we had people legitimately and Colin, shout out to you. Like Colin was like, I'd rather something about Aaron Rodgers. I would rather lose with Baker Mayfield than win with Aaron. And people loved it. That's how much they love the guy. And in a year, we're sitting here. I don't know what
sounds like if they trade Baker, it's going to be to the Colts.
I'm so frustrated. And you know, and these guys know that I've been pretty adamant. I'm like, Baker can come back. They can fix it. They can work it out. And Jacob's like, no, they can't. Just like he's like trying to be nice about it, and I'm like, and
it hurt me to do it. Like, let's be clear, and you guys know that, but because everybody knows I was a Baker bro last year. Like I was. I was like,
lower. Well,
we finally got it. We finally found it.
And so I'm forever thankful that, you know, I got to see my first playoff win. And I really, you know, it's like I watched that game where they opened the fridge with my dad, and that was like a really cool moment. And just like it felt so felt like really the birth of new hope in Cleveland. And always, like Baker was my first jersey I ever owned. And just there's a lot of things that happened with Baker that I was just never blessed enough to have as a Browns fan in my lifetime. And so I think, like your first of anything, it always is more special to you. And I don't know. I don't care. I don't care what people think about that. It's an emotional thing for me. My quarterback is an important person to me. And I don't know. So here we are. I'm still processing it all. And I appreciate you guys letting me speak on it, because I was like over here, More For You Cleveland, who is are great people, post that from Cleveland.com that it looks like, a separation is likely. And then it kind of, the rest of the Browns Twitter just follows, and here we are.
And here I am.
Thanks
Not as stupid as people think.
Jacob taking this.
I never thought you were
I'm
dumb.
taking victory laps because how many things have happened this offseason did I tell you guys was going to happen already? I told you Treader was gone. I told you Landry was gone. There was no way Landry was back.
Yeah.
I told you that Baker was on his way out 7 weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah, you did.
I'm only taking victory laps because these are probably the only three things I'll ever get right in the rest of my life. So I got to get them off.
I don't blame you.
So,
let
me give you three options. These are my three options. If it's not Baker, Mayfield. If it's not Mayfield. Cancel NA says he thinks the Colts or Saints would be the best place for Baker. I think he would do great in Indianapolis. I think Frank Reich, what Frank Reich was able to do with Carson Wentz, I think Baker Mayfield has a bigger arm, a little bit better arm talent than Carson Wentz. That's not saying that Baker's not broken like Carson was when he got there, because maybe that is the truth. Because I'm worried. One thing that I was really worried about Baker, if he was coming back, was some of these bad learned habits that he had to compensate for his injuries. And I hope that they're not ingrain him and that he can move on past them. For me, it was always Derek Carr. If they were going to trade for one, it was Derek Carr. I did. No, it was actually Jimmy G for me first. I tried to lie and act like I wasn't on the Jimmy G train, because then I thumped for Jimmy, and then he had a really bad couple of playoff games, and I was like, fuck. So I for a second I tried to act like I didn't say it. So for me, since the offseason kicked off, when I thought they were going to trade him, it was Derek Carr. I thought was the one that they would trade. Derek Carr, Jimmy G. I think those are plan B and C. I think that is the backup plan right now. I think it's Derek Carr, that's Jimmy G. And the wild card for me, give me famous Jameis. Do it. Did you see his numbers? Did you see what he was doing in New Orleans before he got hurt?
Yeah. He was so weird this year, though. Like his stats.
Yeah, because he was good.
Yeah, exactly. That's what scared me. I'm like, what's going on?
I was like, what the fuck's going on? Why is he good?
Is hell freezing over? Is what's going on?
What was his numbers, Nick? Are you pulling up his numbers?
Yeah, I'm looking.
So do you realize that Jameis got hurt in October and he only had 2 less touchdowns than Baker had all year?
Yeah. So let's see. Sorry.
He only threw 3 picks.
See, that's what the thing. If Jameis wins, and that was always his bugaboo, it was the interceptions. If he could ever just mitigate those, and if you remember, that was Watson. That was Deshaun Watson's issue in college. Was he threw a lot of interceptions in college? He did.
We were all like,
yes.
And then he didn't in the NFL, and that's why he ended up being so good. That's why a lot of teams didn't want Deshaun Watson, was because he threw too many picks. And then all of a sudden, Sean Payton figured out how to make Jameis Winston stop throwing picks. And what was his numbers, Nick?
I'm looking. I'm trying to. The site is not being very helpful with giving me game by game. But so from in 2021, he played 7 games, and he threw. Let's see. Oh, this is
14 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 1,170 yards.
Yeah. Okay. I'm looking.
That's really good. That's really good for him, considering the last season he was a starter. He threw 33 touchdowns and 30 interceptions.
Right. That's what I was getting at.
Dude, I'm going to tell you one thing about Jameis is if you got stuck with Jameis, it would be fun. Because you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know past the pass.
Yeah.
He doesn't know when he throws the ball either. So that was the scary.
He's actually got 135. He's got almost 21,000 yards, 135 touchdowns, and 91 interceptions. That's actually a bigger gap than I thought. I figured it was going to be closer than that.
It was easily his best touchdown and interception ratio he's ever had. I'm so frustrated. I can't find his game by game stats because I know they were very up and down, and I would just love to see. I would love to see that.
I hope we don't have to go to that. Hopefully, if it is like Plan B and C,
hopefully we don't get to Plan.
It doesn't
B.
even get to Winston, so let's not even.
Let's hope. Yeah. Let's hope we don't get there.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got way off track.
Scary.
But, you know what? So, like for me, Kirk Cousins was always like a little too old, like to really be like, okay, let's extend. Like I want a long-term answer, right? That's just me. That's something I felt about Rodgers, even though he just signed a 4-year contract. And like I've never thought a whole lot of Jimmy Garoppolo. I just never have. I've never been like. And so if we're looking around the NFL and we're saying, fine, this relationship with Baker is irreparable, what are we gonna do? Well, Josh McDaniels has always liked Baker Mayfield. That's reported and confirmed, right? And we know
that's why Carr makes so much sense to me.
Yeah. I see Cancel Anime says Carr is not a long-term option. I believe he's 31. So I think you could probably bet, you could say, okay, we can get six solid years there. If that's the options we're looking at, I think it makes the most sense to me.
He's 30. He'll be 30. Yeah, he'll be 31 at the end of the month.
Okay.
Well, Drew in the Brick City did say this, and I remember this when Jameis got laser eye surgery. So maybe it was just a laser eye surgery away.
Isn't that so crazy that he got laser eye surgery like 5 years into his career? You're like, what the fuck are you doing, dude?
He just like was in like fantasy. Some days he'd start off and he'd have like 3 interceptions, and then you'd blink and he'd have 3 touchdowns, and you'd be like, what happened?
He's the definition of up and down player.
Yeah,
100%. He is
like Bortles was that way. Like Bortles would do that. He would throw 4 interceptions, but have 3 touchdowns all of a sudden. And
Bortles would throw for like 175 yards in garbage time and get you a whole bunch of points.
Yep.
Like they'd be down 30, but he would throw for
exactly. Kelly had him on her fantasy team, and she won the Super Bowl that year because of Blake Bortles.
I did too.
Yeah.
I did too. And my team name was Teenage Mutant Ninja Bortles.
Nice.
Love it. I just want to say, it's like a parting thought to all of this, is that I know it doesn't seem likely right now, but like I really, really am salivating thinking about Andrew Berry getting 5 years of a rookie contract quarterback. Like that would be like my dream.
Cancel Anime brings that up. Could they draft a quarterback? Yes. Listen,
I can see
why not? I am warming up. I'm lukewarm. Don't start with me, Ed.
Oh boy.
I am warming up Desmond Ridder.
I knew it. That was my guy. That was my guy.
Wow. Here we are.
Wow. I'm taking a victory lap.
Look at us.
I'm taking some victory laps.
Joel Cade.
Dude.
One of the other writers at Dog Pound Daily is like, he's hammered that at me several times. And then his athletic profile, it makes sense.
How tall is he? How tall is he, Jacob?
How tall is he? He's
6'4".
6'3", I thought.
Yeah.
6'3" or 6'4". Yeah, he's somewhere in there.
Yeah.
You're talking sexy to me.
No, Cancel Anime says, I thought you were going to say Kenny Pickett. I fucking hate Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett, if you want a guy that can play this year, it's Kenny Pickett. I don't think Kenny Pickett. I think Kenny Pickett right now he's got small hands like me. I think Kenny Pickett is where Pickett's going to be. And that's fine. But like, I think Desmond Ridder, I can actually see Desmond Ridder molding into a good quarterback. He's got the athletic profile. His arm strength isn't going to wow you. But if you got a really good offensive mind coach that gets average wide receivers open, and you got a guy like Amari Cooper. Okay, yeah, I know Joe Burrow has small hands, but Kenny Pickett would literally have the smallest hands in the NFL. And he also had a literal butt ton of fumbles in his career at Pitt, which can lead to the small hands.
I have something to say.
So yeah, I would get behind Desmond Ridder, but that's it. I'm done.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Jacob.
You're fine. You're fine.
I just want to say, if we're accepting that the Browns are going to have a new quarterback, there are 2 options: short or slow. You can only pick one: short or slow. I'm tired of short, slow quarterbacks. Pick one, preferably 0, but you can only have one. And I know I'm putting 2 up. Why did
Desmond Ritter is quicker than Treylon Burks. He ran a 4.52.
just like I'll never
Faster
forget.
than Treylon Burks.
I didn't know a thing about Baker Mayfield, really. I watched a little bit of college football. But I remember when they drafted him, I was like, okay, this guy is not particularly athletic, and he is like 6 feet tall. I'm a little leery. I just I don't know. I know some shorter quarterbacks are successful in the NFL, but it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. Can you please? What would you rather have, height or athleticism at your quarterback position?
Athleticism.
Athleticism. Okay.
Because yeah, okay. Nick, get us the hell out of here. Get us out.
What a whirlwind. Jacob, it was fantastic to have you back, my friend. Thank you to everybody for listening. This is an hour, 25 minutes, and I feel like I could go for forever longer. So thank you. This has been episode 47 of the Barking Browns show. And God, we're on the edge of our seat. By the next time we see you, it could be a completely different Browns team. Who knows? But I'm Nick. It could be. He's Ed. We got lots of free agent moves left to make. That's Jacob.